Where we are at the moment in the Northern Ireland dairy industry is actually unprecedented. We've never had a situation in the dairy industry where as many factors, many of which are completely outside our control, are adversely impacting on the price that we receive as farmers. It's important to note that this doesn't only impact on the dairy farmers in the country. In the room this morning we have farmer representation, processing representation, bank representation, representation from our MLAs, MEPs, and from other businesses that service and supply the agricultural industry and the dairy industry specifically. And it's important to note that this current crisis, deeper and longer than anybody anticipated, will not only impact on us as farmers, but will impact on its potential to impact on everybody, and potentially every department in the Northern Ireland Executive. Because if we don't get a resolution to this crisis, if we don't see an upturn and a return to profitability in our industry, ultimately there are going to be jobs will suffer, businesses supplying farmers will suffer, and the Northern Ireland economy will suffer as a consequence. And it's important to note that we're still closely tied into agriculture and the fortunes of agriculture, and everybody in the wider economy, if they're truthful about it, know that if farmers and farming is doing well, then the country will do well. The union have been working tirelessly with serious concerns about the direction of the industry for a long period of time. Over 12 months ago we met with Commissioner Hogan and we raised our concerns with him. So this isn't something that's new for us. A crisis in the dairy industry isn't something that has just come across our desks. We've been working on this. We've been doing everything we can with everyone we can to try and ensure that this would be, first of all, a recognition by everyone that there is a crisis, and secondly, to ensure that everyone works together to get us through this. This summit today is an acknowledgement by the industry and the complete supply chain that we all have responsibility. Without the dairy farmers, there would be no necessity for processors, and there would be knock-on effect. So I'm encouraged by the fact that we have the lineup of quality speakers that we have today. It's a recognition that this is a serious concern for us all. Without further ado, if I could ask our Minister for Agriculture, Michelle O'Neill, to take the floor.
I congratulate you if you just on organising the stakeholder summit today. I think that it's obviously a time of genuine concern for people's businesses and for their livelihoods. So I think it's appropriate that we do take every opportunity that we have to discuss the challenges that are there and how we can work together collectively to be able to address where we can and challenge where we can. I also am very mindful, I think, over the last wee while, just that there are challenges not just for the dairy sector, but for every other sector also. It's a particularly challenging time as our industry deals with depressed prices, and also, I suppose, even the fact that the weather's been so particularly bad. So quite a lot of challenges for quite a number of farmers. This is a crisis in the dairy sector that's been building for quite some time. And throughout that time I've been active in terms of meeting with stakeholders, engaging with unions, farmer representatives, the banks and others on this matter going back to last year. This is a global crisis that's been caused by a range of factors, many of which are outside our control. These include the Russian ban on imports, reduced demand for important markets such as China, adverse exchange rate movements and increased milk production in several countries. I've been concerned about the fall in dairy product prices and how that translates into a milk price below the cost of production, the effect on business profitability and the direct impact that has on farmers and their farm families. The large number of farmers and their families that came up to Stormont at the end of July, and those that have protested to highlight the situation, demonstrated the very real and genuine concerns that people have for their livelihood. I met with Commissioner Hogan in late March to again raise the issue of reviewing the intervention threshold prices, and I'll be again meeting him next Tuesday on the 1st of September, where I bring a delegation again to put our case. I think it's fair to say, and I think most people would share the view, that we've been disappointed with Commissioner Hogan's stance to date. I believe his position is not sustainable. I believe the present intervention levels are too low to provide any meaningful assistance to those who need help now. We would accept that success for dairy industry cannot rely on intervention alone, but there has to be reasonable safety nets and meaningful assistance when global markets shocks occur. Europe cannot ignore the plight of farmers here, and the next few months are going to be crucial for our industry, so I will continue to press him firmly for timely and effective support from him and the Commission team.
This summit comes following a period of 12 months of falling prices, where we've seen 31% of the drop in our milk price. And despite the recent welcome upturn in the recent GDP auction, And even if this is the start of a sustained price recovery for us, we will still be facing a number of months before we return to profit. We need to be proactive on the farm level, all of us. And we need to start, if we haven't done it already, talk to our accountant, talk to the bank manager. If you're going to change your business, talk it through, work it through. If you need a cafe advisor or your own independent advisor, do it. That you're getting the best advice and moving or making it, getting available of things that can help you, or moving from a position that you know you're going for the best benefit of your business. The UFU has been involved in lobbying for this well over 12 months now, and we've taken it at a position of both short and long-term answers to our current problems. There will be no quick fix or silver bullet. So on the short term, we have looked, priority now is getting everybody through the current market till it recovers, till we're all making profit again. And central to this, we've been asking for the review of intervention. And or really at the end of this would be that we move on to a formula-based model that would take into account farm costs and would review itself. That we're not back at this point where you have it 10 years out of date and totally irrelevant to today's marketplace.
Can I also say right at the outset that milk processors, both individually and collectively, through Dairy UK, fully recognise the severity of the challenges farmers currently face, and we are resolute in our commitment to work with our suppliers, industry and government to achieve meaningful solutions. The current crisis in the dairy industry is unprecedented, and we are in uncharted territory. From our perspective, the root cause of the current challenges lie within the overall supply and demand dynamics of the world dairy markets. On the supply side, there was a strong production response to the higher milk price of 2013. The removal of milk quotas on the 1st of April was another key influence. Cumulatively, there was and continues to be a lot more milk. An equivalent increase in demand was naturally going to be required in order to absorb these extra production volumes. Although market commentators have made very bullish predictions on this front through 2013, the reality has proved to be very different. The full impact of the Russian import ban and its subsequent extension is now very evident. You cannot close the door to a key outlet for 1/3 of the EU cheese without negatively impacting on the market.
We must not underestimate the importance of raising public, political and media awareness of the challenges facing the sectors of all sectors of agriculture, but in particular the dairy sector. I welcome the opportunity to address the audience as chairperson of the Committee for Agriculture and Development. But my understanding and motivation to help the industry goes much deeper than politics. I've been a dairy farmer from I left school. I've worked hard to invest, grow and provide a profitable and efficient business to hand on to the next generation. I, like many here this morning, have seen my milk check almost halved in the last 12 months. And while we all plan for a rainy day, sustained prices below the cost of production will have a serious impact on my business. Given the global nature of these issues, it's difficult for me as chair of the Agriculture Committee, or for the committee itself, to effect immediate change for the industry. However, as you will be aware, I recalled the committee at the end of July, short notice. I wanted to give the industry an opportunity to highlight the pressing issues and use the committee as a means of lobbying the EU Commissioner Phil Hogan, the DEFRA Secretary, Liz Truss, retailers, banks and the board. I must thank those who made presentations to the committee, including the UFU, and reiterate that the committee has acted on the suggestions made at that particular meeting.
You can see the graph where we're starting to run up to 37.5 pence milk, and now we're just continuing to spiral downwards, and as Trevor says, the outlook's not particularly good either. I drew this 25p line along the graph here, because it's very obvious to see from that line that those producers who have a break-even milk price above that 25p line are particularly vulnerable as you go into these troughs. And I suppose the challenge for us in the industry is to build a model that can sustain the levels of volatility that we're likely to see in the industry over the coming years.
The modern Holstein, and by that I mean the animal we're dealing with today in 2015, she's bred for high output systems. The animal we're feeding today is not the same as the animal we fed 10 years ago. Obvious to everybody here, and yet 2005 doesn't sound that long ago. But the way we treat that animal is very different, and for good reasons. Underfeeding the modern cow results in reduced fertility, reduced milk solids, reduced milk production.